You ever feel like working with AI agents is kind of like casting a spell? You toss a prompt out there, you cross your fingers and hope for the best, and sometimes you get pure magic, but other times you just get chaos. Well, today we're going to dive into a framework called OpenClaw that wants to change all of that, to move AI from this world of unpredictable magic into a reliable, predictable engineering discipline. And this really frames the whole conversation, right? On the left, you've got the world of AI magic that so many of us are living in. It's unpredictable, it's chaotic, it's frankly pretty vulnerable. And on the right, that's the promise, an engineering method that gives you something reliable, controllable, and secure. That huge gap between the two, that is exactly what OpenClaw was built to bridge. So, let's get into it. Where does all this chaos even come from? Why do some of the most advanced AI agents out there just stumble, get confused, or completely fail? Well, it turns out the problem usually isn't the model's intelligence. No, it's the environment we're forcing it to operate in. Let's break down some of these core failures, because they're a huge deal. With most traditional agents, you get these race conditions, where different tasks are basically tripping all over each other. Trying to figure out what went wrong is a nightmare. The logs are just a tangled mess. In security, a lot of the time, it's just based on these flimsy guardrails that can be talked around or bypassed. OpenClaw's approach, as you can see, is fundamentally different, designed to tackle each one of these problems head-on. And this brings us to the absolute core idea behind OpenClaw. It's about thinking of it not as just another framework or library, but as a true operating system for AI. It's a whole new philosophy for how AI agents should get things done. So here's the key idea, the big light bulb moment. OpenClaw creates this really clean separation of powers. Think of the AI model as this brilliant creative consultant. It comes up with all the great ideas. But OpenClaw? OpenClaw is the foreman on the job site. It's the one actually running the show, managing the tools, and making sure the work gets done correctly and, more importantly, safely.
This really just drills right down to the heart of it. The large language model, the AI's brain, it figures out what needs to be done. Summarize this document or book a flight. But OpenClaw is the one that handles the how. It manages the files, the APIs, the entire workflow, all in a structured, totally predictable way.
Okay, so how does it actually enforce this order? This is where the real engineering comes into play. See, OpenClaw isn't just a cool concept. It's a system built on some very, very specific rules of execution. Every single task, and I mean every single one, no matter where it comes from, is forced through this exact 6-stage pipeline. A request comes in, it gets standardized, routed, and then it has to get in line. There are no exceptions, no shortcuts, no cutting in line. This rigid structure is the machine that literally transforms chaos into order. And step 3 of that pipeline, the lane queue, this is the secret weapon against chaos. By default, every task for a specific user session runs one at a time, serially. That single design choice just wipes out an entire class of those nightmare ghost bugs and race conditions that drive developers crazy in other systems. It's so simple, but it's incredibly effective. Now, before the AI model even gets to see a prompt, OpenClaw carefully assembles it like a layered cake. It starts with the core instructions, then it adds dynamic context, like playbooks and memories. It defines the specific agent and the tools it's allowed to use. And, this is crucial, it wraps the whole thing with a guard to prevent the context window from overflowing and going haywire. Every single prompt is engineered for success before it's even sent. All this structure is fantastic, but it's kind of meaningless if you can't actually trust the system, right? So that's why OpenClaw pairs its orderly execution with an equally robust system for smart memory and what is basically an airtight security perimeter. The absolute foundation of trust is truth. So OpenClaw's first tier of memory is an immutable audit log. It's basically a structured text file that cannot be altered. Think of it like a court transcript for the AI. Every single event, every message, every tool call is recorded exactly as it happened. It's a perfect, unchangeable record. And then, sitting on top of that rock-solid factual record is the smart recall engine. This is the intelligent knowledge base. It cleverly uses a combination of searches, one that understands the meaning behind a query and another that looks for exact keywords. This combo gives the agent the rich context it needs to make smart decisions and, just as importantly, avoid making stuff up. And the security is just as layered. It starts with trusting a physical device through a human-approved pairing process. Then, any tool the AI needs to use is run inside a temporary, disposable Docker container. This contains the blast radius if anything goes wrong. And finally, there's the ultimate failsafe. Ah, this command. It is the classic developer nightmare scenario, right? An AI accidentally trying to delete everything on the system. With OpenClaw, it literally doesn't matter what the prompt said or what the AI intended. A structural blocker sitting at the lowest level of the system just says no. It intercepts and blocks fundamentally dangerous commands like this before they can ever even think about executing. This level of control also lets you do some really sophisticated routing. You can create totally different AI personas for different jobs. For example, a moderator persona might use a more cautious model like Claude Sonnet and only have read-only tools. But if a task gets routed to the support persona, that could activate a more powerful GPT-4 model that actually has permission to write files and make changes. The most important part? Their sessions are completely isolated from each other. One can't affect the other. So when you put all of this together, the structured execution, the trustworthy memory, the layered security, what does that actually unlock for us? Well, we're starting to get a glimpse of the future, of what truly engineered AI agents can be. Now, you'd probably think a system this robust and powerful has to be huge and bloated, right? But here's the kicker. The lean core of OpenClaw is just 8 megabytes. That's it. All of that control, all of that security is packed into this tiny little footprint because all the heavy stuff, the large models, the complex tools, are kept completely separate. And of course, that tiny core means you can deploy it almost anywhere. You could run it silently in the background on your local Mac, you can have it on a remote server that you connect to, or you can scale it up massively in the cloud using stateless Docker containers. The power and control are the same, just the environment changes. And this really brings us to the final thought. For so long, we've been limited by the chaos of AI. We've been treating it like magic. OpenClaw shows us a different path. It's a fundamental shift from magic to method, from chaos to engineering. So the real question isn't if we can build with AI anymore. The question is, now that we can engineer it with this kind of reliability, what will we finally truly trust it to build?